Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new PSGL video. This is round 6, I think so. I always get kind of lost after a few rounds, not gonna lie. Anyway, we've done 3 rounds so far, we've missed 2, so yeah, this is round 6. I think so. I hope so. Anyway, it's Barcelona. We are currently P5 in the standings. We've missed 2 rounds of course, so that's not ideal. But
so
Barry Burmont
through the final corner now. That is on a lap, or is going to start a lap.
Barry Burmont missed a race as well in Brazil last time out, so we managed to get some points back and you know, close the gap to the championship leader a little bit. But yeah, we still got a lot of points to recover, and also gain to the other championship rivals, which are Jake Benham and Thomas Ronnar. So yeah, we need to ideally win around here. This is one of my best tracks, not gonna lie. I think it is my best track, probably. I absolutely love it, especially in the race, for some reason. I have no idea why, but I'm just fast around here, always have been. So can't wait to get my Q1 lap underway. I'm still trying to warm the tires up, which is pretty tough around here. Simply because we are using the hardest compounds available, C3, C2 and C1. C1 being the hardest of course. Now in 2023 there will be a C0 as well, which is even harder in real F1. Although it's not actually harder because they just made the C1, the C0, and then they made a new C1 which is a little bit faster, because I heard that in real F1 the C1s in 2022 were just so hard that they were almost unusable. So that's why on next game we will have 6 compounds, so as we get a C0 tire as well. Anyway, back to the actual league race. Into turn 1 we go. You can hear the car bottoming out a little bit as we're running it very close to the ground, but not too much, because then you'll just simply lose too much time. It's just bottoming out perfectly into turn 1. Through turn 3 we go. Almost flat out. I need to take that tight line and then let it sweep out wide to gain momentum through there. Down to 4th gear. Carry the minimum speed. And on exit you always get a little wiggle if you're on the limit. Because it's downhill, it's a little bit understeery. But that also makes it a little bit easier on traction, you know. And that's why you can floor it on the exit into this next left-hander. This is a new corner on F1 22. We didn't have this corner on F1 2021. It used to be a hairpin, now it's like a half hairpin. Through the long right-hander, into the chicane we go after this right-hander. And that's our first lap in Q1. Done and dusted. This is easy, flat out. In qualifying trim, it's a 16.367. And that easily sees us through. I stayed in after my first run, so we could save a set of tires for Q2 and Q3. Our teammate, however, Jake, did not manage to, unfortunately, and he is in P17. So Marcel Kiefer out as well, bit of a shock there. And there are a lot of absent, so there are also people from F2 and F3 racing today in PSGL. And yeah, some of them also went out in Q1. I think Jan Hadalai, I'm not sure. I think he's in PSGL F3, but or used to be at least, and he is doing pretty well. I'm not sure if he made it into Q2, however, but he's getting another shot at PSGL F1 here. Into turn 4 we go. You can see that delta in the top right, 32.5 tenths green, and that's because our previous lap was on a set of used tires. I just always like to do a lap on a set of used tires at the start of Q2, because you've got the time anyway, and it's just nice to do as many laps as possible in the actual session, you know, because that way you just get a feeling, get into a nice rhythm. Even though the car feels completely different on used tires, I feel like it always helps so much. Thomas Ronnar goes to P1 with a 16.044. We are about to finish our lap off. Into the chicane we go. Left-hander here. Missed the apex a little bit, but it's not too bad. We managed to keep the speed up. and across the line we go. DRS open. It's a 1:16.056 behind Barry Bormand and Thomas Ronner. Anyway, I decided
P10 is Pookie on a 16.250.
To stay in once again, and now we've got 3 new sets of tires for Q3. You can see there, Jan Haladai, I knew it. P14 he was, so he did make it into Q2, so that's very solid from him. But we made it into Q3 again on a single set of tires, and now we've got 3 new sets of tires for Q3. And even though you can't complete 3 push laps in Q3, you can still start a push lap, abort it in case you mess it up, go into the pits and still do 2 push laps on new sets of tires. So that gives you 3 opportunities to go for pole position, and that's what we did last time out in Brazil as well, and it works really well. And of course you just get an extra opportunity of pole position, so we're in a prime position here to set a really nice Q3 performance. But as you can see there, my first lap was not good enough. I had a lot of oversteer moments. And yeah, that's why I also did it, just to straight away push it from lap 1 onwards. And into the final sector we go on our second lap. And after this we will have another one. So we're gonna finish this one no matter what happens, because we've got the time now anyway. Into the chicane. A little bit deep. Missed the apex a little bit, had a little bit of understeer on entry, which is always hard to avoid on the F1 game. But across the line we go. I won 15.986, not a great lap. We're definitely gonna have to improve by quite a bit here to be fighting for pole. My PB is a 15.70 with a theoretical of I think a 6.4. I won 15.64, and Barcelona is a very hard track because you need to be driving with so much rotation that it is hard to nail the actual quali lap. You can see there how much rotation we're running. We almost spin out in turn 3, or not spin out, but we had to correct it quite a few times there. And yeah, the way you gain time is by running so much rotation that it makes it hard to nail the lap. But that's what I love so much about this track, that it's so hard to nail, so technical. Now we're 600 up on our previous lap, with still some time to come in the final chicane. Through the fast right-hander into turn 10 we go. This is the long left-hander, which is so hard to nail with throttle application. We have to use all the track available on the exit to carry the speed through down to 4th gear, and then progressively on throttle there. You can see this back end just wants to step out every time we go on throttle. Through the final chicane we go, and again, very smooth, very clean. 1.5 stands up. Across the line we go. It's a 1:15.816, and unfortunately it's only enough for P4. You can see that Thomas Ronner is still on a lap. However, we are definitely in P4. No one behind us is on an improvement anymore. Apart from Thomas Ronner, we goes across the line. That is a 1:15.649. 1.110 out of Nicolas, who PB'd. So he nailed it. We didn't quite nail it, around 110 of my PB. But yeah, we're still solid. P4, we can fight from P4 on the grid. We're going to be starting the hards just like the rest of the grid. And it's going to be a very long run into turn 1. So the start of the line is going to be crucial. Lights out and away we go. I think the lights went out earlier for Fab, which is a known issue in F1. But luckily we managed to still quite stick with him. And of course, it might have actually helped us a little bit, because that way we got more slipstream into turn 1. And we managed to defend easier from Barry. So I think the lights going out at different times for people might have actually helped us defend a little from Barry there into turn 1. Anyway, I had to back out from the move on Fabrizio, and it was not really an attack anyway. It was more like a defense. As the saying goes, sometimes attack is the best defense. And that was a prime example there into turn 1, trying to go around the outside of Fabrizio. I was never going to make that move stick, but I just wanted to use that space available to defend from Barry behind. Anyway, Philip Rachinator has retired from the session. I think he had an incident in turn 6, 7? 7, 8? 7, 8 I think it is. So that's unfortunate for him. His race is over already after an incident on the opening lap. We have managed to just stick in this position, and yeah, we just gonna have to wait for opportunities really. Maybe the guys ahead will fight and that will open up the opportunity, but for now there's not much we can do. However, you can see there we've got so much more straight line speed than Fabrizio into turn 1, and that is usually very nice for the race, because that makes you recharge ERS faster, and you know, also
90% out of the final corner.
Also gives you the opportunity a little bit more to overtake easily. So yeah, that's a good indicator for the rest of the race. Into turn 1 we reached 316 kph, gained a few hundreds, just over 10th back to Fab, who makes a big mistake in turn 3, loses the backhand, and now into turn 4 we go. I use the overtake button to go around the outside into turn 4, all the way around the outside. He's leaving us the space. Into turn 5 we go down the inside, but now we need to be careful to not overshoot the corner and cover off the switchback. Try to go on throttle as early as possible, but we manage to come out ahead in P3 as big tank slapper there on the exit. And that's what I said, this track is so hard. It's so hard to drive with that much rotation. But up to P3 we go.
What a tricky fucking track.
As you can hear me say there, such a tricky track, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. And now we need to recharge our battery before we go into the pit stop phase, so we can cover off undercuts or go for an overcut or do an undercut ourselves. We're just gonna have to wait out and see how everything pans out. But for now, I used a little bit of ERS there because I felt like Fabrizio was a little bit close behind. He's of course very fast in that last sector because he's doing quite a lot more wing. We're now lap 12. I didn't have a great chicane there, but it doesn't really matter because if we get close to Nicolas we will lose time.
Nicolas 100% out of the final corner
due to dirty air. So as you can hear my engineer say there, Nicolas 100% out of the final corner. He decides to go for the move on Thomas, and now Nicolas is leading and Thomas is in P2. Again, we are still recharging our battery. It takes a while around the high downforce track to recharge your battery, even though it should be a lot faster with DRS, which it of course is. It just takes time, simple as that, because you just approach corners much slower and you regenerate that battery during braking. So if your braking zone is shorter because you have more drag and you're approaching the corner slower, then the battery recharges slower, of course. So that makes perfect sense, and that's why also on high downforce tracks your battery is going to be recharging slower than around Monza or Spa, for example. Yeah, anyway, back to the race we go. Lap 13 it is, end of lap 13. We are getting closer and closer to that 100% mark with the battery though, and we have been doing a good job of not using the
Nicolas
battery.
85% over the line.
Now lap 15. You can see I finally started using some battery again because we do not want to be. We do not want to be on 100% because then you're basically losing time. Anyway, Barry is boxed and the guys ahead are going for a little fight, and that is because Barry is boxed. Barry is the teammate of Nicolas Longue these days for Ferrari Esports, and Nicolas very smartly fighted that into turn 1 because now he's gonna slow us down this lap basically, so that Barry can get the undercut, which is a very smart strategy, and that's also why Nicolas went into the lead in lap 12, simply to hold back the entire group behind him so that Barry can get to the front of the group, because it's so hard to overtake in these DRS range. And we go through turn 9, a little bit of an understeer there, getting close to Thomas ahead, and we are probably gonna box at the end of this lap, depending on what the guys ahead do, because I do not want to be sitting behind Nicolas for another lap, going slowly and losing another 1 second, which is more or less what we've lost probably this lap, especially in this last sector. We've lost a lot of time. The rest stays out. We box for a new set of mediums to go for the undercut on the guys ahead. Yeah. Now I need to nail that button press on my keyboard to go into the pits, and we're just gonna have to wait and see where we will come out compared to Barry.
I think you come out side by side.
Yeah, that's fine.
As you can hear my engineer say, we're probably gonna come out side by side. However, we've got cold tires, so I'm gonna let Barry ahead here. But he is flashing, as you can see. So as you can see, I'm spun there, trying to get the power down, and we basically lost already like a second, almost a second. Let's say 8/10, simply because of cold tires. And the tires heat up pretty fast because of the high downforce, but for the same reason you're using a harder compound, which then of course makes it harder again. So luckily there are a lot of fast corners, which helps. I had to run them up quite aggressively, and I'm using my ERS very aggressively as well in order to stay within the DRS of Barry Bormand, and that's why I'm using all of it now to go for an aggressive undercut. And of course if we get DRS down the main straight, that basically means we are getting an extra 2-3 tenths on the main straight. So that's why I'm pushing so hard and being so desperate for DRS here, so I can gain an extra 2-3 tenths, which might make the difference of getting ahead or behind Thomas and Nicolas. DRS open, we just about got it, and I'm using a lot of my battery here in order to jump as many people as possible. We've managed to jump Nicolas, who comes out 1.5 seconds behind us. I'm not sure how, but Thomas managed to come out ahead again, and Barry is trying to fight Thomas now, who has cold tires. I remember last lap we lost a lot of time as well in this section with those cold tires. But yeah, so far no success for Barry. He tries to go for the switchback, not quite enough though, because of course he doesn't have the battery anymore. He used all of it during the undercut, but this also invites us to have a go at Barry, because ideally we will be in P2, getting DRS every lap, which helps us recharge the battery faster as we move on to the final chicane of this lap. You can see I get a big snap of oversteer.
How did the wheel spin there?
Yeah, I tried to turn on the overtake button and take that last corner flat out. However, we still managed to get around the outside of Barry here into turn 1. We just about get ahead into turn 1. And now Thomas Ronhaar is up next. However, we need to recharge our battery first, because we have used it all in order to try to get past Barry. But yeah, I tried to take the last corner.
In real life.
I tried to take the last corner with the overtake button on, because it's easy flat in qualifying. I was like, I can do this as well in the race, but I think the overtake button might deploy more power than your qualifying mode. I don't know, but yeah, I just apparently can take it flat out with the overtake button on. I had to figure that out the hard way. And now anyway, we are in P2, the position we want to be in. We just need to recharge our battery as much as possible here. We are 6 tenths behind going into the final sector. We're gonna get DRS on the main straight, of course, which then helps us close up a little bit again. I went a little bit wide there on the entry of the chicane, got a little bit of understeer. However, we still managed to gain some time on Barry and Otis. Now, DRS
33% over the line.
Okay. But as you can hear my engineer say there, Thomas with 33% across the line, so we're basically like on 30% less. But of course, we've got a DRS advantage, and we should be recharging our ERS a lot faster once we are in a comfortable window here, because out of the final chicane it was 9 tenths, which is a bit close for comfort. Anyway, end of lap 27, we're back to 50% battery. Thomas is going for a move on Jack West, who has not made a pit stop yet, and Thomas gets it into turn 1 done. But we need to get past her ASAP to not lose time, which is very difficult because we've got no DRS around here in turn 3, 4, 5, and if we don't get past turn 3, 4, 5, then we're gonna be losing a lot of time. However, you can see the grip difference is too big to do anything, and up to P2 we go. Now Jack still has to make a pit stop, so he's gonna be losing a lot of positions anyway, and his race is basically over at this point. I had to use a little bit of ERS to get closer. Again, you can see in the past few laps how much time we've gained to Barry, Nico and Otis. I was driving the absolute wheels of my car, driving very, very well, but still didn't quite manage to close up enough to Thomas. And yeah, ERS regen was also not really fast, even though, yeah, I had DRS. I'm not sure why, but we are gonna have to go for the move here in the final lap of the race. We got 40% ERS and DRS in this final straight, but you can see the gap is too big. 6.5 tenths is not gonna do anything, unfortunately. We lost like over a tenth, I think, in the final chicane again. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I just kept losing so much time in the final sector.
I'm very close to saying something.
To Thomas, even though I was faster than Barry and Nicolas through that final sector. So,
how much longer?
Anyway, it's not quite over yet. Around 2 sectors to go, just under 2 sectors to go.
Let's talk tomorrow when you're right.
There's still an opportunity here to snatch P1 if Thomas makes a mistake, but yeah, we are not close enough at the moment, and at final sector we're gonna be losing another 2-3 tenths again probably. So there's not much I can do here anymore, apart from extending the gap to Barry behind once again. It was one of my best stints probably ever. The medium stint when I needed pace was phenomenal. Didn't make any mistakes in the first stint, which wasn't great, but I just drove really well. It just wasn't enough for some reason. Again, lost 1 tenth in the final sector. It is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.
Hey, really
Ciao.
good race, really good driving. Let's talk tomorrow.